Good morning. I'm Don Black. Um, I am here to talk to you about the spring equinox. It is this weekend. Um, and what the spring equinox means to me work. So we live on a farm here. This equinox is very important to our farm. It is a foundational moment that sets the stage for the entire year. The spring equinox is neither winter nor spring. It is still too cold for most plants, although we will start a few. Um, but it's still too cold for planting most plants outside. I will probably put out potatoes and fava beans and possibly snap peas. Um, but they're not going to start growing right away. The potatoes like a little cold to get the roots going, but so spring equinox, super busy time. We're getting the garden ready for planting. Most things are not planted yet. It's not spring yet, so we're not actually planting. I realize that the calendar says it's spring, but it's not really spring here until May. And then all of a sudden it's going to be summer. Well, I will do some planting in April. Very little planting until, um, or rather, I will do some planting in April and a lot more in May. And then the last of the more tender stuff I'll do the first week of June. So spring equinox marks the time of getting ready. It is not, it is very important for us here to get ready. We are cleaning out all our barns. It's very difficult to keep things, all our barns and sheds and coops, etc. It's very difficult to keep things clean in the winter because, well, it's hard to get around. It's hard to haul this stuff out. We do clean as much as we can. Whenever there's a thaw, we're out there cleaning. But when we have a serious thaw in the spring, the snow is finally gone, and it is now. Although we still have patches of ice, and we'll probably get more snow next week. Um, all of the filth is revealed. All the filth from the garbage, the literal garbage that's been blown in through the winter winds and blown around the yard, especially like along the fence row. The fence catches all that garbage that gets blown. And then the various piles of poop here and there, everywhere that have been hidden by the snow and kept fresh and frozen all winter long for us. Um, yeah, all of that needs to be cleaned up. The gardens need to be gotten ready. The last year's compost needs to be pulled out, spread on the beds, and then this year's compost needs to be moved into I guess, the curing box for next year, and then we start a new compost box. Let's see, what else are we doing? Uh, Cleaning and getting ready mostly, and we're hustling. I'm actually taking the week off work. I do take the week of the spring equinox off of my day job, so that I can spend it cleaning and getting ready for the garden. But you guys probably aren't spending your spring equinox that way. Most people do not spend their spring equinox that way. But because you haven't chosen to drive yourself crazy with this lifestyle. And I didn't used to either. However, I did try to mark like the passage of that halfway between winter and spring with various celebrations. The and I'm going to talk a bit about those. Although confession, true confession time for me, I do all this stuff on Easter weekend because the capitalist society that I am in makes it more convenient to do all this stuff on Easter weekend, and that is the first Sunday after the first full moon after the equinox. And this year, I actually, as I'm talking, I realize I have not checked. I know that the full moon is Friday and equinox is Sunday. Yes. Um, or possibly Monday. So we're looking at a whole month out to Easter, which is fine. It's going to give me plenty of time to get my work done. And of course, when the kids were small, the parks and stuff, they had the Easter egg hunts and the Easter bunny and all that fun stuff to do. So it was good to just do it when everybody else was doing it. And of course, we do an egg hunt as part of our celebration. So you would get all that stuff, on sale. Of course, now we don't have to buy anything anymore because we have bought so many. I mean, we still buy chocolate bunnies, of course. Gotta buy the chocolate bunnies. And some candy to put in the eggs, but the actual like decorations and oh my gosh, plastic eggs, those we've got in a box downstairs in our basement right next to our Christmas decorations or Yuletide decorations. Yes, we celebrate Christmas because we live in a society that makes it convenient to go with the flow. And so we do. And our family, Christmas is about our extended family. So so we do celebrate at Easter instead of the equinox, and it's going to be a full month out this year. But what we do to celebrate, we make a seasonal meal, and people always ask, what is appropriate festival food for this festival or that festival? And my answer is always going to be whatever's in season. If you are here in Midwest America, that is going to be different than if you are in New Zealand or if you are in, I don't know, Spain. Probably. Now, because we are global, now we live in a global society, you can pretty much get anything at any time. But I like to think about, not only what is growing in my garden, but also like what my ancestors who would have been in Western Europe would have had at that time. I also have ancestors in Africa, but they didn't celebrate. I actually know very little. It just occurred to me. My father is an immigrant, but he was not really forthcoming about. He's more about integration rather than sharing his culture. Whereas my grandparents on my mother's side were German children. My grandmother, anyway, was a child of German immigrants, and they were all about their culture. So I definitely know a lot more about that. Anyhow, what they would have had this time of year. And that would have been mostly preserved foods. That's where you get your like traditional Easter ham and your dried fruit spreads, like your hot cross buns. They generally have your dried currants and raisins and whatever dried fruit you have in them. And of course, traditionally adding things like cinnamon and nutmeg. Those would have been very expensive spices to our ancestors. They would have been added on special occasions to special dishes, such as, again, the hot cross buns. Um, and and I will be talking about them when I talk about festival bread on my next edited video. Uh, because I have a sort of universal recipe that I use for all my festival bread. I just use different mix-ins to make it appropriate for the specific festival that I'm doing. Other things would be fresh greens. Bitter greens is a thing. Um, I believe traditional Easter fare would be like your bitter greens or sorrel soup, things like that. But when I think about my garden in the springtime, some things may be there that was kind of left over from fall. There are quite a few plants that you can plant in the garden in the fall, like in August, usually when we do first harvest. That's August 1st. Also, Lamas Lunasa. Um, we are putting in that festival is for putting in our winter crops. Um, like all of our festivals are about working. So, um, and those crops, sometimes in the springtime, we have a bunch of those left. Definitely, I'm thinking about what's in my garden right now. I have horseradishes. I did not plant rutabaga last year or Brussels sprouts, but I have in the past had this come to spring with rutabaga and Brussels sprouts in my garden. Leeks, they're not looking real great right now, but they're still out there. I still have like 3 left. I think I have 3. So like a potato leek soup would definitely be appropriate. Um, and then you have your early spring greens, like your baby green salad mix. I believe sorrel soup is a traditional different herb soup. And then I have my I've got Jerusalem artichokes out there. Definitely not traditional as far as the European ancestry goes, because the Jerusalem artichokes are a Native American plant that is very invasive, and I don't think it's been popularized outside the US. It would probably be a nuisance anywhere else. It is a nuisance sometimes here. So, and it's from here. It is. But the Jerusalem artichokes are definitely still out there in the ground. There's horseradish out there in the ground. And of course, the new stuff that we're getting, not just the stuff that's left over. You got your baby greens. Eggs are new and exciting. We do not have any dairy animals on our farm, but if we did, we'd probably be looking at new milk um, coming on very soon here, if we didn't have it already. But just yesterday, I went out to the duck shed, and it's full of eggs, which is amazing. Day before yesterday, we had 1 egg in the duck shed. I do have a hen that lives in the barn that has laid an egg every single day, all winter long. But she is our youngest hen, which is why she lives in the barn, because the old ladies are mean to her. But the barn, the light gets turned off when we go to bed, so that it's a light thing. So the ducks are all of a sudden laying tons of eggs. So we've definitely got eggs to eat. So any kind of egg dish would absolutely be suitable if you like deviled eggs, quiche, puddings and meringues. I don't know, egg salad, potato salad. So anything like that. Of course, potatoes would have been something that had been stored through the winter. And I also find with potatoes that this time of year, as the season starts to change, they get a little wonky. Like when you buy potatoes at the store this time of year, half of them you have to look carefully because half of them are rotten. We're starting to rot, and then you get them home, and they start to chit. That they start to grow eyes because they know it's spring. They know it's time to start growing. So you wanna so our ancestors that had those potatoes stored in their cellars, they gotta eat it up now, because it's about to go bad. Or and of course, those potatoes are chitting right now as the spring equinox. Part of my many duties will be to cut them up and spread them out to get them ready for planting. I like to cut like a big chunk with an eye on it and just let it rest a couple days to kind of dry out before I stick it in the ground. But I think I'll be planting potatoes next week. Let's see what else. So you got a potato leek soup, maybe with some sorrel in it. Any kind of a lot of my perennial herbs are still green out there. Parsley tolerates the cold very well. The sage doesn't look real great, but it's still totally, totally good. Oregano, sometimes some of the mints. Um, my lemon balm is just starting to grow. I got itty bitty little lemon balms. I've got rhubarb just like this big. It's not big enough to pick. It might be by the time Easter. Definitely at Beltane, we go crazy with rhubarb at Beltane, and also um, the puddings and the meringues. And I'll talk about it at Beltane. Let's see what else. Thyme is still green. Uh, so yeah, so you've got all kinds of herbs. Um, your preserved meats, if you do meats, so things like ham, corned beef. Um, if or canned fish like sardines are good, and then your things in the garden left over from last year. We're cleaning it out. We're cleaning out the garden. So we got to eat that stuff up. You got your leeks, you got your Jerusalem artichokes, you got your horseradish, maybe your rutabaga, maybe your Brussels sprouts. Eat those all up. Kale is often growing still, not this year, but last year I had kale this time of year. Um, all of that. Uh, and then your stored foods, your potatoes, apples, oftentimes would be stored, dried fruits of all sorts. So definitely make yourself a feast, enjoy, and just use your spring equinox time to meditate on, again, what cleaning up the what you're getting rid of so that you can make room for your new plans for the year. I'm not really planting the garden much at this time, a little bit, but right now we need to get it ready. We need to get the barn ready before baby animals show up. They'll be here by Easter for sure. But we got to hurry up and get that barn ready, clean, scrubbed, so that it is sparkling when the baby animals arrive. I, I do want to argue that I don't let my barn get a total mess during the winter, but it does not stay as clean during the winter as it does during the summer because it's just really hard. Um, but so all of that needs to get done, and all the garbage needs to be picked up. So spring equinox, I guess, symbolically, throw away your garbage, get ready for the new year, and celebrate using up the last of your old stuff, looking around for the new stuff, and really appreciate. And this is the thing about Sabbath or festival feasts that I feel like it's important to think about is there are things right now that will not be that either you have not had for a long time or you will not get again for a while, at least not in this form. Like I'm going to pull up my last 3 leeks. I'm going to make a lovely leek soup, and that is going to be it for leeks until for several months, unless I go to the store and buy leeks, which I won't do. The same with Jerusalem artichokes. That's going to be it for Jerusalem artichokes till next winter. They're just not that good. And I mean, I can eat them in the summer, but they're much better when it's cold out. So definitely take a minute to enjoy those things, and not just food. Food is symbolic of many things. But go outside and just enjoy that warm breeze that you haven't felt for so long. It's going to be brief. It's going to snow again next week. And then, in July, I'm not going to be appreciating warm breezes. Not at all. I'm going to be wanting the cold breezes. So, so definitely take a minute on the spring equinox and just go outside and walk around and think about the things that you have right now that you won't have next month, that you didn't have last month, because that's what this period in time is. And think about the things that you had last month that you don't need or want anymore, or the things that have built up over winter that you need to get rid of. And think about all the things that you're going to plant, either literally or figuratively, and grow for this coming year. And that is the essence of the spring equinox to me. And tomorrow we'll be talking about celebrating it with kids, because it is one of my kids' favorite festivals. And and we do have a lot of fun, even though we do celebrate it at Easter, because it is more convenient for us to do so. And that is all for today. I hope you have a lovely week, and or a lovely day, and I will see you tomorrow.